Hello, welcome to this tutorial on the Realm Management Tool add-on. I'm going to be doing quite a few different tutorials. Today we are looking at the claim system and a brief add-on overview. I'll try and keep it as short as possible, but there will be some timestamps so you can skip to the section that you need. I've also got a wiki, so if you don't want to come back and read through if you've forgotten something, just head to rmt.wiki. The link will be in the description, and that will have all the information, all the different systems and everything that these tutorials will be covering. You can also join my Discord. Feel free to ask questions, give suggestions and features. So the add-on is an add-on that provides management for a world, realm or server. At this point we can't load marketplace content onto dedicated servers, but if they ever do it in the future, then this will still work on a Bedrock dedicated server. I'm going to use the word server throughout my add-ons. It helps so I don't have to say world, realm or server every single time. So if I mention server, I mean whatever the add-on is loaded onto. So server admins would just be people who own the add-on and run the world or realm or server. So lots of different features around protection, moderation and administration of a world, realm or server. So this could be from moderating players if having to remove them, ban them, kick them or warn them, or protecting claims. So today we'll be looking at the claim system, but there's features like locking certain things, some fun little things to help keep something like an SMP a bit more interesting than the pure vanilla game. So looking at the claim system, there's going to be a couple of items that we need for this. So one is the realm tool. This is given when you first join, but I didn't want to lock it to the hotbar or the inventory because that will ruin your inventory management. So in case you lose it, I created a really easy recipe. So you don't need all of these items, it's just one. So you can create it with dirt, netherrack, cobblestone, endstone or cobbled deep slate. This is just so wherever you are in either dimension, there should be something there available to quickly grab to make the tool. So we also need the claim flag. This doesn't get used when you use it, so it's a single item. It's just got an easy recipe in case you lose it. So that's just redstone dust, flag and paper. And all these recipes are shapeless recipes, so you don't have to use a crafting table. You can do it in your normal crafting menu in your inventory or in the crafting table. This is another item, and I will do a tutorial just covering all the blocks and items as a separate one, but this is quite relevant to claims, so I wanted to show it here. So it's a claim viewer, and the recipe is redstone dust and cobblestone. When you right click it, or whichever device is for use, so right click for PC, but just the same as if you're eating an item, it comes up with the chunk preview and the chunk coordinates, because those chunk coordinates are what the whole claim system is about. And if you put it in your offhand, then it will constantly render the preview and the coordinates. So first I'm going to try and explain the main claim system in general before showing you how to actually claim and manage your claim. This is so you can hopefully understand how it all works, how the settings work for each of your claims. I've tried to use a lot of different systems that I've used in the past and merge them all together to create something very simple and effective and optimized for Bedrock. So with my experience running Realms or running a Java Spigot server, there's things out there like World Guards or grief prevention on Java Spigot servers. So things like that give them a bit of inspiration on how I was going to create this claim system. So you get three claims essentially. Overworld, Nether and the End. Admins can choose to disable Nether and End claims if they want people or their players just to claim in the Overworld. And the End, if that is claimable, the End Island where the dragon is always unclaimable. So that will prevent people from blocking people from fighting the End Dragon. So when I mention a claim essentially is just a list of settings for that overworld. So if I break it down just to an overworld claim, we can have a look at some of the options. So the overworld claim will hold a list of chunks. So this is the chunks that are protected by this claim settings. Trusted players, permissions, options, and all the names of the subclaims. And I'll get into subclaims in a little bit. So This is regardless of where the chunks are in this dimension. This will protect those chunks under these permissions. So if I were to go into the overworld and I claimed a couple of chunks here, let's just use this as a preview of the overworld, and I claimed these chunks. These will all be protected under my overall claim settings, which is the list here. If I chose to, say if I found a monster spawner, or I found, say, a desert temple or an ocean monument, and I wanted to protect it, especially if you wanted to build a farm or a mob grinder or something, it doesn't mean I'm limited to the claims that I've already placed. I can place down a claim and protect the chunks over at the mob spawner over there, and they will all use the same permissions. So you have to be a certain distance apart when you're creating a different group. So we can see this as one claim group and this is another claim group. Now the default settings is 10 chunks apart. So this will be for either your own claim groups or for another player trying to claim a claim near you. The default settings is 10 chunks. Server admins can choose to change that value, so they can make it smaller if they want people to be closer, or they can make it further if they want to, or larger if they want people further apart to give people room to grow. So that is the hard-coded cap. Obviously, they could have their own rules that say only if the other people allow it. We're going to put the setting low, but still be further. So, but that'd be down to the server admin. But the hard-coded thing is 10 chunks. I could also have, like mentioned, I could have a claim in the nether that uses the nether settings, and I can have a claim in the end, and that will use the end settings. So now we can talk about subclaims. Subclaims are a list of chunks that have their own set of settings within your claim. So each dimension's claim can have their own set of subclaims. So I could choose, like, I want this one to be a subclaim. I also want this one over here to also follow the subclaims rules. So those two, although they aren't grouped, will follow the subclaim settings. So this is the good thing with subclaims, is they don't have to be next to each other. It's just defining a list of chunks that follow a different set of rules. So those subclaims will use their permissions as priority. So if I go through all the different settings, then we can see how they kind of work and interact. So trusted players, this is a list of players that you're going to allow permissions for. Just being a trusted player doesn't allow you to access all permissions. It's just, these are the list of people that when I mark a permission as trusted players can do it, then these are the players it looks at. And this can be for in the main claim, or in each individual subclaim can have their own set of trusted players. Permissions. So permissions are a list of things that you want to either block or allow people to do. And you can either block everyone, so you can set it to none. You can just allow trusted players, or you can allow all. So allowing all will allow anyone, they don't have to be on the trusted list, so anyone in the server will be able to do that action, which could be useful for certain things like doors or buttons. You might want to create a mini game or something. So you might want to allow everyone to press a button, but you don't want them to build or break your machine. So there are a lot of different options. If I start a claim, I can kind of show you how we're going to manage it. So what we're going to do is, using these example chunks here that I've just laid out, we'll start a claim. So you place down your claim flag, and that just marks the chunk, and this stays for about 10 seconds, and say with the particles, just to show this is a new chunk claimed by me. If we open up the realm tool, I'm going to go through everything else. So all we're going to focus on today is manage claim. If you haven't created a claim yet, either in any of the dimensions, this button won't be there because you haven't got a claim to manage. So once you press it, or once you claim, you'll be able to press it and have a look. So here it shows all the information on each of my claims. So my overworld claim has one chunk that I've just claimed. We don't have any subgroup names yet. We don't have any trusted players yet. All the permissions are set to none by default. And there's some certain options which we'll get through. We don't have a nether or end claim as of yet. So looking through, here are the list of permissions. I'm not going to go through every single block that each permission protects. I'll go for a general ones, but if you look on the wiki, I have put a list of every block each section will protect. With build and break, is every block is just stopping build and break. That doesn't define what blocks, but certain things have different blocks that prevent use on. So all these permissions can be set to none, trusted, or all. So like I said, build and break is just simply, can the player build, can a player break? Use item is if using an item such as a hoe onto ground to create farmland or dirt path or stripping logs. So that's using an item on a block. Storage access is your typical, just as you could assume, your chests, your trap chests, barrels, your shulker boxes and everything, dispenser dropper, mostly everything with a basic inventory storage. There are a couple of things that hold items such as furnaces and smokers and such, and that's in the table access. So the reason why I put it in the table access is you might want to create a claim that allows people to use furnaces and blast furnaces and anvils. So that's all under table access with all your other tables like crafting tables, cartography tables and such. So that's if, and same with beacons. So if you want to protect that, you can protect it under table access. Interaction access is different to the use item, but these are things like buttons, doors, trapdoors, gates, levers, and a few redstone components. So like I mentioned earlier, if you have a claim that you want to create a mini game, you want people to press buttons or pull levers or open doors like a maze, or you made your own dungeons, then that's what that permission is for. Respawn blocks is the two respawn blocks. It's the bed if it's in the overworld and the respawn anchor in the nether. So that prevents people from setting their spawn points if you don't want them to do that in your claim. Utility access, these are blocks like cauldrons and campfires. There's only a small amount of blocks on here, jukebox, note block. So that's just a separate thing. If we ever get any more utility blocks, the list will be updated. Decoration is your typical decoration things. So all signs and hanging signs, items and glow item frames. So that's if you want to prevent people from editing that, but you still want to edit it, especially because it can be quite annoying to have to use honeycomb to lock all your signs. And then if you want to change it, you have to break it and place it back again. So this can just prevent people from editing signs. Breaking will be under the break, so that's separate. Entity interaction. So this is all your typical entities that you don't want people to interact with. So your armor stands to protect your armor, all your mine carts, sheep, cow, and mushroom to prevent people collecting things like wool and milk. Now, one thing with entity access or entity interaction, I chose not to add pigs and horses, and I know that can be annoying if people want to try and steal your horse or pigs with saddles. But if someone was to walk into your claim or ride into your claim on their horse, get off, they wouldn't be able to get back onto it. So I've had to leave that out. I'm going to look into if people can still access their own pigs if I blocked things like saddle interaction or lead interaction. So that's something I'm investigating to make sure it doesn't make people lose their entities if they ride into your claim. If it's something I can add, I'll update it and note it in the changelog. Misc access, this is just to cover other blocks that we might want to prevent people from interacting with that didn't fit under the other. settings, and I didn't want to group them in with anything like utility or decoration, because these could be separate that you might want to prevent people from interacting. So this includes like the beehive and the bee's nest, cakes and vaults and candles. So that's all the vanilla, all the vanilla kind of interactions. Then I've added a couple of the add-ons, add-on based permissions. So I'm going to do a video on. I've got a video on home and player warps, to actually know what they are. But if you want to prevent people from setting them inside your claims, then this is what those permissions are. So that is the permissions side of things. So that is what is linked with trusted players, and that's what you can assign, and that's the reason why adding trusted players is a thing. And then you see a couple of options that had true or false next to them, because they are different to permissions. They aren't something that you can switch between none, trusted, or all. They are simply just a yes or no. Can this thing be done in your claim or subclaim? So monster spawn, that's stopping monsters from spawning in your claim. So when they try and spawn, if that area is claimed and this setting is set to true, it will cancel it and remove them when set to true. These are the default options. So everything's none on permissions and true false for these particular options. Explosions, so this prevents any blocks from breaking in explosions. This includes if say TNT was set off outside your claim, it may break everything outside of it, but anything inside your claim will be protected. Entity damage and player damage. Now this is preventing being damaged by an entity or another player. With player damage, this would mean PvP needs to be on, or friendly fire needs to be set on for the server. If that's off, then this is irrelevant. So this is, it's not an entity being damaged, it's you being damaged by an entity, or you being damaged by a player. Now, unfortunately, due to limitations with the scripting API, we can't cancel this. It's not something we can cancel damage. Not yet, anyway. Hopefully, we get something in the future. So the way it's done at the moment is when you get some damage, say if you receive 2 hearts of damage, we give you 2 hearts back to stop it. This does mean if you get given damage which is enough to kill you in one go, then we can't prevent that death, unfortunately. Not at this time. If we ever get a feature in the update where we can just cancel the damage, which means it would never calculate the death, then we'll switch it to that system and it will be updated and noted in the changelog. So that is the end goal of these settings. But unfortunately at this time there wasn't a way to completely cancel the death. So it should be fine for your basic, you're getting hit by a zombie or you're getting hit by a player. Unless they use a mace and they fall from really high, then they can give you loads and loads of damage in one go. But unfortunately that's how we've had to do it. So let's look at managing a claim. So these are a list of permissions for our main claim, and they can also be used for subclaims here as well. So I'm going to claim all the other chunks. So claim that one, and this one. And just to show you around just to give a visual on the on claiming too close, this is obviously not within 10 chunks, there's only 1 chunk apart. If I try and claim this, it's going to say no, you can't do this, it's not within 10 chunks. I could claim it if I claimed this one and then I claim this one, because now this group is linked. So if I show you with this one over here, this one is over 10 chunks. I can claim this one over here as well. So now all these chunks that I've claimed will follow my main claim settings. So any trusted players, permissions or options that I have for my overworld claim, these chunks will follow it. If we go in to the managed claim and go through, I can change the name. So the name is tied to your main dimension claim. So the claim name for the overworld is just called Tomhmagic's claim. That's the default one at the very start of claiming. So you just click on that, choose the overworld. So whenever you're changing options, it's going to ask you which claim you want to change. So as I've only got an overworld, it's just given me the overworld one. But if I had nether and the end, or the end, that would show here. So I want to change the overworld claim, and I'm just going to change it to my claim and submit. So if we go into here now, you can see that the claim name is called my claim. It has 7 chunks in it that we've claimed. These 4, 5 and 6, and then the one in the distance 7. If we want to view the claim chunks of the overworld claim, this is all the different chunks that are inside. So all the different numbers that we can use the claim viewer just to show or see which claim we're in. That's just a little bit help, because without these borders it can be quite difficult to know about all the different chunks. If we want to remove a chunk, so if we go over here, let's remove this one. This one was minus 36.29. So if we go in, manage claim, remove claim chunk, minus 36.29, and this chunk is no longer claimed. We go in and now we can have a look at some of the other options. So I'll get onto edit subclaims in a little bit, but trusted players for my overworld claim. So this will give a list of the current trusted players we can add. Now this is another menu you will see quite a lot throughout the add-on. So whenever the add-on needs you to select any player with either online or offline, this is the menu it will show you. So it's got a list of online players minus yourself. I'm the only one online at the moment, so it's going to be an empty menu. All players is all players that have joined the server that haven't been purged. So I'll get on to player data purging in my administration tutorial. And then search players searches all players by a term, so you can write in any letters or numbers. And it will search if they've got those. It does it based on if I write TO, then it will search for all users with TO in their name, so not TO separate. So if we just click all players, there is an alt account that I've joined and used for testing, so I'm going to add them to my trusted list. And if we go in manage claim, we can see trusted players now has Tom in it. Going through to permissions, we click on edit permissions for the overworld claim. It gives us a list of all the different permissions that we can edit and a drop down to choose between the 3 different options, so trusted or all players. So I could put trusted for build and break and storage access, for example, and people can build and break in my overall claim. Now, unless you're doing one big build project with loads of people, or not loads of people, or a few people, then adding them to the main claim is okay, but it is good to utilize subclaims to give people their own plots. As you can see now, the permissions have changed to trusted, so the colors change. So green is used to signify this is safe. So no one. This is super protected. Trusted in orange just to say, look, some people can do these actions. And then it would be red if I put it to all to say, be wary that you've just set something to everyone can do. So with the options, because they are just true or false statements, when we edit claim options, it just gives us some tick boxes, so I can turn off entity damage, turn on explosion or so on, and press save. And then we'll go into the managed claim, and we see that entity damage is now false. So green for it is safe. With explosion, the explosion will still happen. It's just any blocks that it's affected gets removed from its affected list. So you could still use explosions for for killing entities if you've got some form of machine. If I can remove entity damage from it, I would have. I will investigate that as for future, and these options can grow. Same with the permissions. If anything gets set into a different permission category, I can add more in the future. So with removing claim chunks, if you've only got one claim chunk in that dimension claim and you're going to remove that very last one, it will give you a warning to say you're removing the last claim chunk. Do you want to delete your claim? Because you can't have a claim with 0 claim chunks. So that works similar to the delete whole claim. If I press this in the overworld, it will ask me, do I want to delete my claim? I'm going to click no for now because I don't want to delete it to show you the subclaims. So let's create a new subclaim. I've got these marked as diamond blocks. So this is -3328. And I think I've wrote down the other one in preparation, -3440, which is the ones over there. So if we go to manage claim, edit subclaims, or the overworld claim, and as there's no subclaim yet, it's just going to ask me to create a new one. So I'm going to call this diamond, and that's just added. Subclaim diamond has been added. So if I go back to manage claim, you can see now this is 6 because I removed one, which was the one with the redstone border. Edit subclaim, overworld claim, and now I've got all these different options. I can create a new one. I can view a subclaim to see what chunks are in it, just similar to viewing the chunks of the overworld or the overall claim. Add chunks, remove chunks, edit the name. So if I want to change the name from diamond to something else, and then I've got the same trusted claim permissions and options and delete subclaim. This works exactly like the main adding trusted players permissions and everything. So I won't go through them again. So we'll add a chunk to the subclaim. So we're going to add -3328. Go back in. You can see now we have subgroup names here, diamond. So I don't list all the different permissions for each individual one, otherwise this menu would just get huge and you wouldn't be able to get to the buttons. So the name is diamonds, and any other ones that I have will be listed here as well. Then if I edit subclaims again, overworld claim, add another chunk to the claim, choose diamonds, and then -3440. This just gives you a list of all the chunks that you own in your main overworld claim, or whichever dimension you're editing. So if you try to add one that's already added, it would just tell you this one's already part of the subclaim. And do note that a chunk can only be part of one subclaim. So you can't have a chunk, say this chunk in front of me here, this can't be part of multiple different subclaims because it needs to know which permissions to use. Use a subclaim permissions or use the main claim setting permissions. So manage claim. We'll go into edit subclaims, overworld claims, view subclaim, and I'll choose diamond. Now we can view all the different, so the claim name is diamond, 2 chunks in it. I've got no trusted players. The claim permissions have copied over from the main one, so you can go in and edit that individually. And then you can view the subclaim chunks here and see that these are the ones here. Right, so that is the claim system. Hopefully with the board up here and going through the options, it has helped kind of visualize the claiming system. It can be fairly complicated. Please come and read the wiki or come and chat on Discord if you need any more help. But hopefully we'll see you in the next tutorial, and thank you very much for watching.